What is up, YouTube? It's me, your host, Paradox, and we are going to showcase one of my best builds of this league, 3.8. So this is going to be my int stacking raider that specializes in Flicker Strike. So the way that this build works is that we're using Hand of Wisdom in Action as our main damage source, and then as our main debuff on enemies, we're using Dorian's prototype. So if you're not familiar with how this works, Hand of Wisdom in Action, the big stat on this is 1 to 10 lightning damage with attacks with this weapon per 10 intelligence. That's why we're intelligence stacking. On top of that, we're also taking Shaper's Touch for the accuracy rating. That's the big thing that we're getting off of this. It also gives us some evasion rating, which is going to be important later on whenever I explain the defense side of this. Going into more of int stacking, this doesn't give us anything, but the reason that this is so important is because lightning resistance does not affect lightning damage taken. Nearby enemies have lightning resistance equal to yours. So we are at 163 negative lightning resistance, which is really, really important. I'll show y'all how I got that here in a little bit. As for the rest of our gear, do an Aegis Aura because we are max block, and we do take glancing blows in this build. So this is a really good way to make sure that we don't die. We have an int stacking belt with an int percentage with a max roll intelligence. This isn't even used with Catalyst. Helmet, I went with a Hunter's Hubris because I needed high energy shield, and I wanted the percent increase to intelligence. That was a big stat for me. So I have max stat, high intelligence percent, and then the high energy shield is a plus. Amulet, allocating charisma because we need to be able to run a lot of auras. Doing 19 to all attributes, high intelligence, and then we have a percent intelligence as the implicit. The way there's two different upgrades for this. You can have a regular, you'd have a you'd have like a dual. I can't think of the word. I can't remember it, but it's two types of influence. It's dual influence, and then you would roll percent intelligence, percent attributes, and then you would also end up rolling like a high intelligence roll, something on it. So that would probably be an upgrade. The other upgrades is Yule's Vow, just so you can now have a 6-link flicker. For our rings, we're specifically looking for fire and cold resistance. Lightning resistance is bad for our build, so we are strictly just going with fire and cold resistance. So this one, max intelligence, energy shield's a plus, fire and cold resistance. Kind of same idea. The dexterity is actually a plus because dexterity increases our attack speed per 25 dex. Intelligence, energy shield, cold resistance, super easy. Now the boots. These boots are special to this league only. You may not be able to get them in future leagues depending on when you're watching this video. The way to obtain these boots, and the really, really important mod that makes them very valuable, is the very bottom mod. Adds 1 to 5 lightning damage, 2 attacks per 10 intelligence. That's huge. And the way that you get it is you go in your stash and you'll use these recombinators. And I'll just show y'all real quick. I'll just throw on, I'll use some rings. So I'll just take 2 diamond rings. This would be the same idea for using it with boots. I'll take these, I'll recombine them. And now this gives me a random implicit. Let me grab like a handful more. So the reason that you can do these on rings, you can roll like plus the charges, so like frenzy and frenzy charge, power charge, stuff like that. Can't be done with corrupted, so I don't know where that went. That has to go. Can't be done with fractured. You can do them with white bases, with yellow bases. I think a lot of people choose to do them with white bases just because it's easier easier chance to get that magic prefix. For Flask, evasion, armor, evasion, cold, and fire resistance. This is going to help max out our resistances. And then we have them all as taking, whenever we take a hit, we gain a charge, and then we have plus armor, attack speed, corrupted blood, stuff like that. As far as the skills go, I focused a little bit more on the defense side of this because I wanted a very, very tanky build that could reliably run T16 maps, run Elder maps, run anything that I needed it to. So we have Divergent Flicker, Multi-Strike. I put Fortify on this because I don't have a way to get Fortify on the tree. I find that this is a really, really good way to just get a flat 20% damage reduction. This is huge for survival. Damage on full life because, as you see, we do take Chaos Inoculations, so we're always at full life. Elemental damage with attack, supports, and Melee Splash. Melee Splash can also be swapped out for Ruthless for that extra single target damage, but this is really going to be big for your clear. If you had the Vow, you could put Elemental Focus, seeing as we're really not shocking. Down here we have Whirling Blades, faster attacks, Berserk, because we actually do generate some rage, and Lightning Strike. The reason I have Lightning Strike here is because, say that I go into a boss fight and I'm just having a really hard time maintaining my frenzy charges for my flicker, I'll switch out Lightning Strike, and that gives me very sustainable way to do damage. Over here we have Hex Touch, Reckoning, Rage Support, and Punishment. So every time that we block, we have a chance to trigger this attack, which is then going to generate rage for us. Whenever that hits an enemy, Hex Touch is going to proc with Punishment. So whenever they get to low life, we're going to do a bunch more damage. We have Tempest Shield, Discipline. Ball Discipline will do nothing for this build because you actually don't regen, you actually leech life, and Energy Shield. Enlighten. I chose to go with the level 3 Enlighten. I can still run all of my auras without it, but it brings it down to 51. My Flicker Strike costs 42. It felt better for me just to put it there so I can at least get a couple flickers before my mana runs out. Mana is not an issue though. Defiance Banner, Grace, Wraith, Enlighten. In a perfect case scenario, like this is going to be one of the upgrades, you would put Determination here. I don't have enough mana reservation to put my Defiance Banner off and put Determination on, so I wanted to at least have something filled in that slot, so I took the Defiance Banner because it was something else I could run. Over here is my Determination. I don't have enough strength. I keep it on just in case I have to swap out Wraith. So if I wanted to, I could drop Wraith and I could put on Determination for extra defense. Multi-totems, and then we did a Phantasmal Ancestral Protector. This is really important because the 20 quality gives increased effect of ancestral totem buffs. Is very, very strong. Highly recommend. Moving on to our skill tree. The way that we took our ascendancies, we started here, going to Way of the Poacher for plus Frenzy. Then we're just increasing what we get from Frenzies. Went over here for Assault or Onslaught, and then increase Onslaught effect. Major points of this, highly recommend Fertile Mind, because that plus intelligence, and then it's going to end up giving you 4 other nodes. So this gem alone right here gives me a plus 61 intelligence. You can roll it higher, but 21's okay for me. Grab an extra frenzy charges. This is a big damage node for us. Because our accuracy is obviously above 1, because our life is only 1, we are always doing 40% more attack damage. This is not a crit-oriented build. We don't really have a good way to stack crit because of the way that our passive tree goes. So right there is a really good way to get a free 40% damage. Come down over here, grab Frenzy. I like to grab Discipline of the Slaughter just because it's +1 minimum, and it gives me another way to just do more stuff with Frenzy. Extra damage, extra attack speed. So have it. This skill or this node right here really important for doing extra damage because, like I said, with Phantasmal Ancestral Protector, that's just going to end up buffing that Ancestral Protector more. We're taking Iron Reflexes, so that's how I get 44,000. If I was to drop this and put on Determination, we would double that, so it's even more. I don't find that it's necessary, so I'd take the extra damage. If you need it, take it. The only reason I've taken these up here, well, this is extra intelligence, so this is great. The reason I've taken that is because I need more strength. A lot of my gear needs more strength. I could actually take some of this out, but really I just had to get that for stats. That's for stats. That's for extra damage. Moving up here, extra frenzy. I have Impossible Escape, which I will explain what this does up here and how I'm working it. We're doing this for the recover 2% energy shield on kill. Really big. This is the reason that Ball Discipline doesn't work for me, is because I leech energy shield instead of life. And then because of my clusters, these clusters are completely optional. They help a lot, but they are optional. I'm leeching mana here, block, and then this other cluster up here, I'm more block, and then I'm leeching life. Because I'm leeching life, instead it's going to go to my energy shield, kind of helps out. CI, obviously, taking this because why not, we're right there. Lightning Mastery for the lightning damage with non-crit strikes is lucky because we don't really use critical strikes. That's really big. That's going to give you a free 30% more damage. Obviously, taking more intelligence. I'll explain this here in a minute. Completely optional cluster. I would highly recommend getting a cluster and putting 2 split personalities in here. Get one with intelligence and max energy shield. As you can see, one of them gives me about 75 intelligence, and then it gives me about 400 energy shield apiece. Highly would recommend those. I think that's a really good one. Zealot's Oath is not, you don't have to have it, but it's very useful because in those situations where you're having a hard time leeching life or leeching energy shield, you can sit there and wait for it to slowly regen. Don't have to have it, but it's nice to have. Extra chance to block spell damage, so this is going to help us cap our spell damage block. Going over here, we're grabbing Sovereignty because once again, we need that. And then whenever we get to the Thread of Hope, both of your Thread of Hopes need to have a large ring. Gonna grab Divine Shield because that's 3% of armor on top of this 2% of armor. So it gives us 5% armor whenever we block. Glancing Blows because we're always blocked. The 65 damage doesn't really matter. We have so much armor that we end up healing past it anyways. It needed that for stats for strength and stats for strength. The intelligence is also a bonus. So how did we get all the way to negative 163 lightning res? We have 2 Thread of Hopes down here. One's negative 18, one's 20. You could really get 2 20s. We have a Melting of the Flesh. Where's my Melting of the Flesh? Oh yeah, Melting of the Flesh, negative 79. That's also how I can get past. So I can also get past that 75 cap res. We have a Watcher's Eye, strictly just for the lightning damage. I actually dropped this. I didn't buy it. It's probably fairly cheap. Now, something that I've done different that a lot of people don't do. I have used, I'm using an Elegant Hubris, and I'm also using the Minion Instability Impossible Escape. Now, how this works is that Elegant Hubris makes all the small nodes do absolutely nothing. They don't do a single thing. But all the large nodes get completely changed where they do something important. So, I think I bought like 2 Exalts worth. I tried them all, and this was just the best one I got. So we have, out of this, we have increased attack speed, increased fire resistance, armor, increased damage per frenzy, and then that one is increased melee physical damage. We don't do physical damage. That wasn't worth it, but it's still 4 out of 5. You can get 4 right here. The other option, pain attunement and taking this. So you can use pain attunement to end up getting, let's see, you can get 1, 2, 3, 4. I think you can also allocate this for 5. You can get those 5 right there. But these are the only 2 places that you can end up getting 5 to work with an Elegant Hubris. And we're saving a lot of points by not taking all these small nodes. So that's pretty much it for the build. A lot of people won't run this. They'll run something different here. I like it just because this is nice. If I could change it, I would like to have a fire and cold resistance here so that both of them are maxed. Now, looking towards upgrades, there's a couple things that would be upgraded on here. Obviously, get all these perfect threads of hope. And I'm also not max level. Moving into max level, depending on what you wanted to do, you could take this little node right here for all the extra energy shield. You could take, let's see. You could technically take the claws. I probably wouldn't do that. Even at 91, every time I get a level, I'm like, don't know what I'm going to do with it. But there's a couple things you can put them into. You could also get +1 or +2 frenzy rings. The +2 frenzy rings do go for 1 mirror each. They're incredibly expensive. You could get the Vow here. The boots could definitely be an upgrade. I'm working on upgrading my boots. I'm keeping the add 1 to 5 lightning damage, but I want high intelligence, and I would like them on Storm Treks. If you're not familiar with what Storm Treks do, Storm Treks have the implicit of you get 1 to 5 energy, or you get 1 to 5 lightning damage per 200 accuracy. And what that means for us, because our accuracy is actually fairly high, we're 3,900. It's not bad. It would end up getting us, if I remember, like 16 extra damage. You could stack it higher. Total in this build right now, about 35 exalts. I bought this fairly early in the league, so you could probably get it for a little bit cheaper. You could definitely run it a lot cheaper if you're running a 5-link. And we're just going to run, I've been running cemetery maps all week, so let's just see if we can't. The 2 mods you cannot run on this: Monsters Steal Frenzy Charges on hit, Elemental Reflect. You can get away with running Elemental Reflect if you want to spec into it on the tree, but I chose not to because I just roll over them. It doesn't matter. But this is absolutely T16 viable. I'm not going to change anything. I'm still going to use my Sentinels the way I do. So first thing off, hit that Sentinel. We're already max 18 frenzy max 8 frenzy charges. And even with the Sentinels, we're not really struggling to kill anything. I think overall this is a really, really strong build. You can really drop any type of... you can run just about anything you want on here. I'll even wait. I'll get like a good mob together, and then I'll pop my blue Sentinel. I actually got a level there. That's awesome. Have no idea why I'm put that in. I also use Fall Lightning Strike as supplement damage for bosses. It just helps kind of clear everything a little bit better. But as you can see, kind of just going around. I have really no fear of dying. Haven't really taken any hits yet. Even if I did, my Lightning Tempest generally will kill everything that I need it to. And if it doesn't, then I'll just kind of sit there and take it until I feel like killing something. But incredibly fast mapper. Incredibly happy with how tanky this build is. We'll just do another map boss one. The only thing that is going to kill you is large one-shot damages. If a boss or any type of creature has enough damage to one-shot you, that is the only thing that will kill you. If it doesn't hit you in one shot, it's going to take you in 2. And so we'll just pop everything here. Boom. Boss is done. So, looking forward to it. Oh, damage over time. My Pantheons, I ended up taking Cannot Be Frozen and then Unaffected by Burning Ground, because the damage over time will kill you. So you have to be careful about having the little patches of chill that happens. That stuff is really dangerous. Just like on this boss, it has a little degen right here. That's pretty dangerous. Overall, To give my ratings, this is probably so far my number one favorite build. Right behind that is a BD Necro build with a trigger on it that I did many leagues back. Right behind that in the top 3 spot is a strength stacking Chieftain build. That was a really fun one. I used totems. Overall, incredibly happy with this build. I have another build coming out here soon. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Also, if you want to see it first, check me out on Twitch. I stream 4 days a week. Mondays, Tuesdays, I stream from 7 to 11. Fridays, I stream from 5 to 2. And Saturdays, I generally stream 12 to 12 or 2 to 2. If y'all have any questions, leave them in the comments below and tell me what y'all think.